everyone, I'm Ricky LaVaughn, author of Offerings and Sacrifices. In this video, I'll be reading Lesson 1, The Burnt Offering. To follow along, click on the link in the description. Also, make sure to take notes as the questions are given for personal study and reflection. The Burnt Offering, Lesson 1. Main scripture is Leviticus chapter 1. Question 1. Who did God summon and where was their meeting located? Scripture text Leviticus chapter 1 verse 1 and Exodus chapter 40 verses 34 through 35. Question 2. What is the requirement from God to the people regarding a burnt offering? Leviticus chapter 1 verses 2 through 3. Question 3. People were to bring their offering before God. What was their part in the sacrifice and what purpose did the animal serve? Leviticus chapter 1 verses 4 through 5. Question 4. Laying hands on the animal before taking its life is very personal, humbling, and a powerful sacrifice. If we had to kill an animal to make an atonement for sins, how would that affect our behavior? Question 5. Imagine giving up something that is valuable to strengthen your relationship with God. Name one thing that would be tough to give up but could symbolize a growing bond with the Most High. Question 6. What is the priest's part of the burnt offering sacrifice? It's found in Leviticus chapter 1 verses 5 through 9. Question 7. In what ways can current spiritual leaders take a similar role with their church members' worship experience? Question 8. Another animal is mentioned as a means for sacrifice. What is it, and describe the process for the person preparing this animal in the job of the priest? Leviticus chapter 1 verses 10 through 13. Question 9. In case a person could not afford the first two animals that were mentioned, what is another option? Describe the sacrificial process for the person and priest as well. Leviticus chapter 1 verses 14 through 17. Question 10. Why is the process of sacrifice different depending on the animal? Question 11. God made provisions for people of different classes to be able to take part in the same sacrificial system. What does this say about God's character and actions towards all people? And now it's time for something that happens at the end of every chapter. Just a brief thought called Just a Thought. All groups are made up of different classes. This could be based on spiritual knowledge, talent, education, money, and a variety of other factors. Regardless of the assembly, there will always be someone who has a lot of something while someone else has a little. This doesn't mean that one person is more important, but that everyone have their own standing in a group. For the various offerings, often the animals chosen depended on your financial ability. Whether a bull, sheep, or dove, the animal was picked depending on the person's ability to afford it. The prerequisite for the offering is that the animals should be perfect and prepared according to God's requirements. Outside of that, God will accept it all. He didn't want to force people who couldn't get a specific animal due to financial difficulties. God made sure that people did not miss out on worship due to class differences. The standard that all people have an opportunity for worship applies today. God made sure that just like in ancient Israel, no one would be disqualified for not having enough money, spiritual knowledge, education, or anything else we would use as class distinction. Instead, God based worship participation at the level of the person. This means that the Lord does not expect the same financial requirements of a teacher compared to a Fortune 500 CEO. A person who has grown up in the church for decades is judged differently than someone who knows God for a day. Regardless of these differences, to the Lord, all people are the same. God's acceptance of our worship is not dependent on our class. Instead, it's a matter of following the requirements that God set for all people. For more information on offerings and sacrifices, or to get a copy, click on the links in the description below. Thanks for your support and have a marvelous day.